In this podcast, we talk about Boro's trip to Deepdale and answer your podcast questions. This is the Boro Breakdown Podcast, and this is our Boro Matchday Chatter in a pod.
Wants support. Curtis Fleming is there on the edge of the area. Fleming for Craig Hignett. Hit it, Higgy. Higgy hits the treble!
Ravanelli coming alive again. Janino wants the ball played to him. Ravanelli spots out Emerson!
Good evening and welcome to the Boro Breakdown Podcast with Jonny, Dana and Tom. We are the Boro Podcast that gives you all of your Boro Matchday Chatter in a podcast. And on Saturday, in the early kickoff, Boro travel to Deepdale to face Preston North End, knowing that a win might not even be enough to get a playoff spot. But you never know. They might do. Only if Sheffield United or Luton drop points. But who knows? But guys, before I ask how you two are feeling, I want to ask how you're feeling, the listeners, as well. So tell us how you're feeling about tomorrow's game in the comments below. We'll read them out on the podcast. And if you're going to Deepdale, let us know as well and talk to us about your trip too. But guys, let us know how you're feeling. Dana, do you want to go first? How are you feeling about tomorrow's big game against Preston?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'm not really nervous whatsoever. I'm quite calm, and I don't think that's anything to do with me having confidence that we can beat Preston, because in truth, I don't have confidence that we can beat Preston. But I think it's more because I'm at peace with whatever happens. And Tom Muldowney made a great point in the Telegram chat that as long as we win, he'll be happy. And I will be content with that because, of course, that means that we've done our bit. We can only hope, everyone from a Boro persuasion is obviously hoping that we can somehow manifest a Luton collapse and a Sheffield United defeat. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited about. There's a lot to kind of hope for the future. And I'm pretty confident that regardless of how this season pans out, what the outcome of it is, that we can have a really good campaign next season, be it in the Championship or in the Premier League and a little dabble via the playoffs. You know, I am pretty calm because I'm at peace with whatever outcome happens tomorrow.
Well, you're not the only person calm, Dana, because Graham messages on YouTube and said he is pretty chilled about me as well. So last 2 years that are really calm. And Miles has said he's excited. We just need to get the job done as well. But Tom, how are you feeling about it as well? You appreciate you're not going to the game tomorrow with like me. We're not going to the game. We have to watch it at home. But are you nervous, excited, calm, collected? How are you feeling about it?
I'm kind of feeling like the word of the day is calm at the moment because I just kind of really feel relaxed right now. I mean, I might not as soon as the match kicks off. I'm sure as soon as I see the scores coming in from elsewhere, I'll probably be shouting at the TV and stuff. But no, at the moment, I'm quite happy with where we are. I'm happy that we've taken it down to the last day of the season. As I said on the pod last week, I usually enjoy watching these types of situations as a neutral, not as much kind of being in them, but it's going to be a nice change just to have something to play for, and hopefully we can do it. But I know that if we don't, I'm still kind of quite comfortable in the fact that we'll rebuild well for next season, and we'll more than likely be challenging a little bit higher up than we are this season.
It's a good point about taking it to the final day because, I mean, since we've been doing this podcast, apart from last season, we've always had something to kind of look forward to the last game or two. And I don't think there's there's nothing worse for me anyway than having the final game of the season being a dead rubber. You know, you're mid-table, you've got nothing to play for. Of course, if you're Fulham or Bournemouth, it's fantastic because you're promoted, but we've got something to play for, and that's something to be really excited about. As you said, Tom, we've taken it to the final day. We did our bit against Cardiff and Stoke, and we've given ourselves a chance. So I'd much rather us give ourselves a chance than for this to be completely gone. I mean, we've got a few situations and scenarios that can pan out for Boro to get into the top six. So I think that although many people probably rather be in Sheffield United and Luton situation, obviously already being in the top six, I think there's something quite. Maybe, I don't know what the right word is, but maybe it's better to be the chaser rather than the chased at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you both. I think with Boro, there's no pressure on them tomorrow. You know, they can go into the game and think, well, it doesn't matter if we win or lose. We've had a fantastic season. I think under the previous manager, I don't think we'd be anywhere close. And what Chris Wilder and his team have done has been a fantastic and a stellar job so far. And like you've both said, next year could be a really, really good season. And maybe 18 to 24 months down the line, you know, we could be talking maybe potentially in a much better position than when we are this year. But I'm sure that we'll by 12:30 we'll both be a bag of nerves, and I'm starting to see some of the comments come in as well. And Mark Gaiman saying he's shitting a brick, so I'm going to absolutely fly that on YouTube as well. So if you are watching us on Twitter as well, do comment us on YouTube or on Facebook. It's a little bit easier for us to see it through on our platform. But in terms of the game, guys, you said you are a little bit more calm and you could be nervous as the game kicks off. But what will make you feel a little bit more confident tomorrow? So is it during the game if Boro take the lead? Is it maybe seeing Sheffield United on the phone, you know, they're getting beat 1-0? What would make you feel a little bit more confident, Tom?
Well, probably Sammy Amiobi starting, to be honest. That's the only way I'm going to feel. But to be honest, no, none of that really. Even if we go a goal up, it'll still be in the back of my mind thinking it'd probably be typical us to concede it in the last minute, and Sheffield United and Luton both lose. And likewise, if Sheffield United and Luton are losing and we're drawing, then that's just going to make me even more nervous. Or, you know, even if we're winning, there's always the possibility that they're going to come back and do it, because obviously you can't keep up with can't watch more than one game at a time. So yeah, nothing's really going to make me more confident there. It's just going to be, we've got to do our job and hope for the best with the other results coming in.
Yeah, Dana, with you going to the game tomorrow, do you think you'd be looking at the scores at all as you're in the ground, or will you solely be focusing on the match in front of you?
No, of course. I mean, trying to find some service. I don't know what it's quite like at Deepdale. I mean, I've been before, but I can't remember. There wasn't a situation where I had to be on my phone, to be honest. But I'm sure there'll be somebody, a Jeff Stelling and a Chris Kamara in the crowd that's letting everybody know about the results and how the games are going. But I think that's high floor. I'm it's going to be one of those, isn't it? Where I said on the last podcast where you're going to be looking at your phone, hoping that something's going to filter through. I might need one of you to wire me in on text message the goals as they go in, just to keep me up to date.
When we were at Blackburn, we were like in a bottomless pit, weren't we? We just didn't have any data. We couldn't see anything. You know, we were late to the game as well.
That was funny. In hindsight, that was an absolute wreck, but it was so funny.
No, that and Blackburn is kind of Blackburn and Barnsley were kind of the ones where I just thought, you know what, I am the unlucky charm. Used to can go to the away games from now on. Every time I go and used to aren't there, we'll win. So I just don't get it. Oh, I might just stay in an office somewhere or just watch at home. It's just much easier. But then, like I said, you're traveling to the game. I want to stick with you. You got your egg sandwiches in hand. You know, you're on the bus to the ground. What are you expecting from the team and the fans tomorrow? Because, like you said, you're calm about the game. You know, you're looking at the big picture. You're seeing something that the future is more exciting. But what are you expecting from the game tomorrow? The actual game itself.
Well, I'm expecting a raucous away end. It's really good to be a part of that. I think it's going to be some sight, isn't it? You know, everybody's been advised to bring a scarf and wear red. I hope everybody is adhering to that. I think it's due to rain in Preston, so hopefully that's not actually the case. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be one hell of an atmosphere. What I expect for the game itself, I mean, for me, I think it's gonna liven up in the second half. And if I just put something on the screen now, you'll be able to see it. So Preston's goal times this season, if we divide the goal times by every 15 minutes, the majority of Preston's goals have been conceded at home have come in the first 15 minutes of games. So they're vulnerable in the first quarter of the game. But also, if you look at the last 15 as well, they are vulnerable between minutes 76 and 90. But then on the other hand, if you look at Middlesbrough, we've only scored one goal in the first 15 minutes of our away games this season. If anybody knows that goal, let us know. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but if you look at our last quarter, the last 15 minutes of our games, that's where it seems to happen away from home. We've scored 6 goals and conceded 7, so I kind of expect this game to maybe be a little bit cagey in the first half, nerves potentially coming into play, but then the second half livening up a little bit. Preston concede more goals in the first half than they do in the second as well, if we just put that back on there. So yeah, I'm expecting the second half to be where the game is kind of really comes to life, I think. If we can have another late winner, how great would that be? But yeah,
I feel like the
fingers crossed.
the term cagey comes to mind when you're mentioning that for that first half an hour. Anyone want to put a pass wrong, or the nerves will probably be more in the stands than there will be on the pitch. But Tom Criswell does have a full squad to choose from. Bar Sammy Amiobi, who was your surprise package of the season. It must have been a surprise never to see him play a game this year.
Oh, definitely.
Still technically counts. And then obviously Daniel Fisher as well, still injured. But do you think we'll make changes to the side that beats Stoke?
I think the only change we might make would be McNair for Peltier. And apparently everyone's fit to play over them two, so I could definitely see that change being made. Just gives us a little bit more going forward, doesn't it, than Peltier offered. Nothing against Peltier, but he just doesn't have the same kind of legs and attacking intent that McNair does. So I can see that being the one and only change we make for the game tomorrow.
Okay, then. So in terms of the change, we just think the one, but like over the last few games, we've seen a number of noticeable changes from Middlesbrough. And we put it on the last podcast as well, where we spoke about the wing backs pushing up, Tav moved the left-hand side, and what potentially that can do for Middlesbrough offensively. Obviously, we spoke as well about the wing backs and how they push up and they can help pin teams back. Tomorrow, both teams are in a 3-1-4-2 and tend to play that system. But what tactical tweaks do you think we could see potentially tomorrow?
I don't think we'll see anything drastic. I mean, we've won our last 2 games. We haven't won 3 on the bounce since January, where we beat Forest, Blackpool, and then Reading. I don't think it's going to be anything particularly massive other than personnel changes. We might obviously see. Well, I mean, McNair should come back into the side, because if McNair's fit, then he obviously gets in there. It'll be interesting to see where Tav plays, if Tav plays on the left, and he would be up against, I think, Brad Potts. I know I mentioned last podcast that Alan Brown was playing right wing back, but I think it was actually Brad Potts playing there, and Alan Brown is the sort of defensive midfielder along with Ben Whiteman. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. I think that's where the game could be won and lost on the wings, because they've got Daniel Johnson left wing back at the moment. We know Daniel Johnson, a seasoned championship performer, a good player on his day, but that day probably doesn't come around often enough for Preston fans. He's intelligent, can pick a pass, he's creative, decent finisher as well. But what's the criticisms that have been levelled at him is that, firstly, a few Preston fans have said that he's a bit lazy, and then secondly is his inconsistency. So coming off the back of a game against Barnsley last weekend where he scored 2 goals, he's probably the player that I think is one to watch. But going back behind him, he's up against Isaiah Jones. And I think, you asked me there about tactical tweaks. I'd be interested more in what Ryan Lowe does, because I don't think he could play Daniel Johnson left wing back up against Jones. So that would be interesting, I think. But in terms of Boro, I don't, long answer short, I don't think it's going to be anything too drastic. Just kind of continue the way that we've been playing and hope that we can make it 3 wins on a bounce.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that right-hand side battle with both teams playing a 3-1-4-2, I think it's really key that each team tries to win the individual battles, the duels, and try and get the ball on the front foot, and then also try to make things difficult for the defense, because when you look at both teams play 3 at the back, both teams play 2 up front. That's the extra man there for the defense to rotate whoever picks up a certain man. So it's really key for a midfield to try and push forward and try and get in the box and hopefully, try to make something happen and maybe cause the overloads out wide. I think I agree with you, Dana. Maybe we might not see Johnson tomorrow or Josh Earls being filling in there on that left-hand side for Preston. So it could be a really key battle, that. But then also on the flip side as well, if we do put Tav there, can we maybe use that to our advantage, because he has played well there. He did show intent going forward, and maybe he'll take a leaf out of his brother's book on the other sides, but of course, and maybe find a finish and maybe become a top scorer from wing back, but who knows? But in terms of Preston as well, I think there's a few more I think we should be looking out for. Jakobsen as well, 6'2", holds the ball up well. We'll like to bring more players into the game. Got Ben Whiteman as well. I think he came from Doncaster a couple of seasons ago, and he seems to be their Johnny Howson in a way, because every time you look at his performances, it seems to be 7 or 8 out of 10, and he's trying to be a bit of a crab and try to play the ball off. And you got Vandenberg as well, Dan, who you mentioned on the last podcast, who's been out of form over the last couple of games, so he's probably due now to have the game of his life on Saturday, now that I've just mentioned that. And then, of course, you've got Archer as well, who we've all been speaking about throughout the season. But Tom, looking at Preston's form, how are they looking going into the final day?
So pretty up and down, to be honest. I mean, they won the last game against Barnsley 3-1, as you mentioned, so they should be on a little bit of a high going into it. But before that, they did just suffer a 4-1 home defeat against the rivals Blackburn. Before that, 3-0 loss away at Fulham, 1-1 draw at home to Millwall, and 2-1 win at home to QPR. So looking at that, I mean, they've played quite a few of the teams around us. And, Blackburn have got a win and Millwall held them to a draw, both with Preston playing at home. So they're not unbeatable at home. And it is probably one that we shouldn't have fear about. I think we probably could win it.
Okay, then. So just before we move on to your predictions, then there's just one question that came into from the YouTube one, and it is very controversial, and has even got a response from Kean as well in the comments, which I won't repeat. But it says controversial, maybe, but I want Sunderland to win the playoffs because of how good it would be if we get to relegate them next season, or better yet, they get promoted and we go up in the same season. Do you really want Sunderland to win the playoffs? They are playing Sheffield Wednesday now.
They're winning as well.
And
they
they're
scored
winning
whilst,
as well.
Yes, we're talking. Yeah. No, I don't want them. Keep them there.
Back to me, Jeff, in the studio.
Keep them down.
I actually do want them up. I want the winner of that game to go up, just so we have more Northern away days next year. We've already had Wigan and Rotherham promoted. I've never been to the Stadium of Shite, so I would go to it.
Never been. Wow.
But I'd go to Hillsborough as well if Sheffield win.
Well, I'm scared of heights, so there's no chance of me going to Sunderland, and nor is there any chance of me going to Newcastle if we ever get them. So,
yeah. Well, I've been to both, and I was, fun fact, a mascot when Middlesbrough won a 3-1 at Sunderland, and Malcolm Christie scored a 3-1 win. So there you go. But just before we do move on to the final question, where I'm going to ask for your very bold predictions of the day and your prediction of the game. We are raising money for the Motor Neurone Disease Association this season. We have made £2,000, and that was our target for the year, so that's a fantastic achievement. We are still looking to get a little bit more. So if you are watching us on a different device, you can press our little scanner where it'll say donate to our M&D fundraiser, and it's in the memory of Anne Malt as well as Dana's mother. And that has been a fantastic achievement for us this season. We've been really happy with everything that we've raised, and we are looking to raise a little bit more as well. We have got a shirt which we are looking to really raffle off at the end of the season. Graham's coming in the comment as well, saying, I like to see us, Sunderland and Newcastle all in the Prem. It does make it a lot more funner. And it did back in the day, everyone, the Legends football phone on it was on Sentry back in the day. It was good to see us challenge against Newcastle, and of course they were the big dogs at the time at points. But look at them now, absolute multi-billionaires. But guys, predictions. predictions of the day. I want to have 2 predictions from you. I want to have a bold prediction, and I want to have a normal prediction as well. So I'll let you go. I'll let you have one question. I'll let you have one first, and I'll come back to you. So, what's your actual prediction, Dana? What's your prediction for the game?
I said 2-1 on the podcast, I think. I don't know whether I strayed too far away from that though in the days since. I mean, I still think there's parts of this team that haven't been fully addressed. I'm not convinced about our away form. Yes, we are undefeated in the last 5, but we've only registered 2 away wins in the 10 since the turn of the year, and we need to win this game. So I'm just going to stick with it. Why not? Let's stick with 2-1. Boro win, and then we'll see what happens with the other results.
Okay, 2-1 Boro win. And Tom?
I feel like I might have said 2-1 on Sunday as well. And I
think you said 2-0.
2-0. Good, because that's what I was thinking. I didn't want to stray away from what I said. But, 2-0. I could see happening. I'm going to change my mind slightly and say 2-1. I think it might be 1-1 until like the last quarter of the game, and we might get that all-important winner.
Okay, then I'm going to go with 2-0. I think we win 2-0. It'll be quite comfortable for the majority of the game. Fingers crossed. And your bold predictions. What are you going to go for? Dana, what is your bold prediction of the day?
Aaron Connolly scores. I think Aaron Connolly will score.
Okay.
I just have a feeling. I'm trying to manifest this, right? Imagine it would be so good. We've obviously criticised him. I think everyone's criticised him, but it would just be so good if he had that moment where we could kind of say, "Fair enough, Aaron. You know, you've done your bit there." So I'm hoping, speak it into existence. Aaron Connolly is going to score tomorrow.
Fair play, Aaron. Enjoy the money. Graham,
shall I say? Enjoy the Pally Fanny.
Enjoy the Pally Fanny. You've won, Aaron. So we've got a 5-0 prediction and a 2-1 prediction as well coming in. But Tom, what is your bold prediction for tomorrow?
My bold prediction. We spoke earlier about our stats for over the course of the season, away games, and when we're most likely to score. But I think we've shown it a couple of times this season that this team does turn up for the big games. Man United, Tottenham, we were absolutely on point for those games, and I feel like the team's going to get the importance of this. We spoke a little bit about nerves earlier. I think there might be from the stands. I don't think there's going to be any from the players, and I'll go bold prediction: that team that made the FA Cup run turns up, and we win 3-0, like Brighton away still.
Okay, then.
Can I just put something on the screen real quick? I just found this interesting. So this is Boro's season so far compared to previous seasons. Now, what stuck out immediately to me is where it says 0 points on that right-hand side. Now, it's 2018, 2019, and then 2011, 2012. In both of those seasons, Boro finished 7th. And I think on that 2011-2012 season, it was when we went to, Watford, and then we needed a result at Cardiff, I think. And then the 2018-19 was when we went to Rotherham, I think. So we are on the same points right now as those seasons. I just found that interesting. Obviously, we missed out on the playoffs. We finished both 7th in both of those campaigns. So yeah, I don't know. I found that one interesting. I mean, obviously, we have another game to be able to get hopefully 73 points, but just a little interesting quirk there, little wrinkle.
Look at that. Look at those points from the 14-15 to 15-16 season. Look how many. Jesus Christ.
Crazy, isn't it? Look at the Woodgate season as well. 20 points. 20 points better. We were bad in that campaign. Christ.
I know. That's
wow. We conceded double the goals in the Woodgate season than we did in our promotion season.
Crazy, isn't it? Jesus Christ. I don't think I quite took in how bad that season was, but yeah, that was bad. Hey, at least, I mean, if we don't get the result tomorrow, at least we could say that we are still 20 points better off than 2019-20.
Yeah, look, it's 3 years of progress, isn't it? When you're looking at the points tally there, so Hey, who needs more progress than that? Three more, and then hopefully you never know. Next season we could have 88 points again, like we did under Kranker in that promotion season. But we've got 2 more predictions as well, and Ollie says I think results go our way, but we'll draw 1-1, which will see Middlesbrough not make the playoff spots. And then also finally from Kane as well, he says 2-1 with Connolly to score in the 95th minute, and Leo and knee slide in front of Ryan Lowe. And how nice would that be for him as well? But then we got a last comment as well, and it's what he says on about the last game meaning something. My first seasons were relegation last day, promoted last home game, lost out on promotion last day, but won playoff, relegation last day, and stayed up on the last day as well. Relegation last day and stayed up on the last day as well. I mean, Ollie, you've had some eventful times, haven't you? Jesus Christ, I haven't seen it as eventful as me. But I'm going to go for my ball prediction. I was going to say about Aaron Connolly scoring as well, but you never know. You know what? Anthony Dyke's winner off his butt cheeks. There you go. He'll go from that.
I knew you'd get that one in.
back post butt cheek, and it'll just go in, won't it? We need a goal, and he just finds a way. He just finds a way. I thought he was going to score against Swansea, but he never. But guys,
got a nosebleed, didn't he, in that area?
He really did, didn't he?
He
really did. Yeah, but you never know. He's going to break the duck tomorrow. He's going to score, and he's going to score the winner. And I'm going to take that to my grave. But guys, thank you very much for joining me as always, and thank you very much to the viewers as well. We really do appreciate every single one of you watching us this season. We have grew so much, but we do have 1 more podcast, or 2 more podcasts, or even 3 more podcasts to do before the end of the season. But we'll be in touch around those ones. But this is it, guys. The last chance saloon. It's the final countdown. But can Boro do it? Can we make the playoffs? Who knows? This has been the Boro Breakdown podcast, and that was our Boro Matchday Chatter in a pod. Up the Boro Breakdown.